Hi, Tony Selzer here on the line. One of the things we get to do every day is really work with businesses that are on the cutting edge and sometimes even the bleeding edge. And right now, what is really bleeding in technology, information, as organizations is healthcare. And the providers, I know there's a lot of people that might watch the show aren't feeling sorry for the providers, but the providers are really trying to figure out how to survive in this world where their cheese has been moved, where the way they used to do things just quite honestly aren't going to work anymore. And you know what? The change has been needed for quite some time. You can be on one side of the bus or the other from a political standpoint, but this country has had a broken healthcare system, and whether or not what's going on is working and whether or not what's going on is not working, there is an organization out there that is helping the providers evolve through this volatile change. United Physician Services is that company, and they're actually doing this in some very, very unique ways. And today we have Rochelle Glassman, the CEO of United Physician Services, on the show, and she's been telling me about how ICD-10 is creating some opportunity for organizations that they're not seeing, and how organizations have to evolve into becoming data-driven. Rochelle, talk to me about, this ICD-10 thing and how that's changing the provider and where they're going with things.
So ICD-10 was supposed to be implemented last year. And as you know, with all the changes in healthcare, that got pushed back.
Right.
And actually, it may get pushed back again. But you know what? We don't know that for sure. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you that most hospitals and most of the payers are ready for that transition. Unfortunately, most of the physician practices and the small to mid-sized healthcare businesses are really not prepared at all to move forward with ICD-10. That in itself is going to have a major financial impact on every business in healthcare that is not ICD-10 ready. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you submit a claim and it's not got the appropriate ICD-10 coding, the documentation isn't there to support it, you're not going to get paid. That creates a cash flow problem. We have been preaching to our clients from a business standpoint, and again, physicians tend to forget that they're a business, that cash flow is going to be a challenge. While they're in the ICD-9 mode and money's coming in perfectly and fine right now, our recommendation is go to your banking and financial institution, secure lines of credit so that you can get over the hump of the ICD-10 without having a financial revenue impact on your practice. We recommend highly that your staff, not just the physicians, but your medical assisting staff, go to seminars or go to webinars and become experts in the changes, because no longer can you go to the physician with a fractured right arm and just say patient showed up with a fractured right arm. Now you have to say whereabouts exactly is the fracture, how the fracture happened. You can't say they fell and broke their arm. You need to say where they fell, how they fell, and the exact location of where they fell. Patient fell out of a tree instead of patient fell. So it's going to take physicians a lot longer to document. So not only are they going to lose money if they code it incorrectly, Tony, they're going to have to reduce, at least initially, their patient volume while they get used to writing the additional documentation required to support the codes that they're using for billing.
And Rochelle, one of the things you said that was so important earlier, and I just wanted to make sure our audience heard that, is getting ahead of this wave as one of those mid-market providers, and leveraging that and creating not only the cash you need on hand to survive and to then in turn thrive. There is going to be a cleaning of the herd, if you will, for some of the weaker players, and by using this as this learning curve as a way to get ahead of that curve, you can be one of those stronger companies that are on the other side of that are still left and haven't got eaten up by the big providers. I mean, that's really the opportunity here, right?
That's correct. I mean, we are going to see, Tony, some fallout. Obviously, with the implementation of electronic medical records, if you don't have your EMR up, eventually you're going to get fined by Medicare and have your reimbursement reduced. That is where I see the first wave of physicians who don't want to participate in healthcare transition out, retire, go into other industries. The second wave, I believe, will come with the implementation of ICD-10 because it really is such a dramatic change. And to be frank with you, many doctors and providers struggle with ICD-9, and that's been out forever. I mean, you know, you hear of all these OIG audits and these government audits, and I personally don't believe that physicians go out and purposely defraud the government. I think it's a lack of understanding. And so with that being said, when you bring in ICD-10, I believe it's going to create mass chaos in the healthcare environment as we see it today.
And so you've got this knowledge base that you guys can bring to the organization, the expertise, but you also have this business process development piece that helps the organization then take advantage of your knowledge when you're in there, and then you've got the background to develop business models that didn't exist before all this coding changes. Because let's just face it, the way we delivered healthcare for the last 50 years has not changed. And now the provider side is really being forced to catch up and to accelerate through growth, and that creates a lot of discomfort from the people that are doing it because it's a lot of change. And your organization specializes evolving organizations through that change, and that's really what you're able to do. I mean, you're one part business coach, one part marketer, one part subject matter expert, one part psychologist. I mean, that's really what this space is going. Is that fair?
That's correct. You're absolutely right.
So when you're out there talking to them, you know, we've got 2 minutes, and I just want everybody to understand, you know, as they've got this massive change facing them, Rochelle, and they know that they've got to evolve, what is the one thing you try to get these leaders to understand, that how to get to the other side of this change, how to create you know, character out of chaos or calmness out of this? How do you get them down that path? What's the one thing you want them to know?
Pay attention to your business. A lot of physicians, Tony, because like you mentioned earlier, go to medical school to become doctors. They abdicate their business to somebody that they believe they trust. And oftentimes that person isn't educated, doesn't understand the changes that are going on in healthcare. You as a provider, as a business owner, need to stay engaged. It is important that you understand the changes that are happening that can affect your business on a day-to-day basis and plan ahead. Don't be on the defensive. Be an offensive player in the healthcare environment today.
And find a partner like United Physician Services that can help you get through it and get to the other side to create you know, thriving instead of surviving. Right here.
That's correct. I mean, we get calls every day when doctors get themselves in a pickle. It would be great if they called us 6 months prior and say, hey, I'm thinking of this and I'm thinking of that. What do you think? Instead of saying, oh, my goodness, I can't make payroll today because I didn't do A, B, and C.
Right. Yeah, it's so much more fun getting ahead of that than getting behind it. Thanks so much for being on the show, Rochelle. I appreciate you. Always good to talk to you.
Take care. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.